Hi. I'm going to be doing first impressions on 2 independent perfumers. 5 fragrances from each of them. We're going to start off with For the Scent of It. And this is a brand that was started by Michael Schrammel. He began studying perfumery in 2015. And the name comes from a time where somebody asked him, why do you wear perfume? And he answered, for the scent of it. He was named Saflebon's Best Discovery of 2022 and is now one of their contributors, doing notes from the lab. And we'll get started with that very soon. We're going to take a look at the chat. How's it going, my friend? Hey, Dave and Heinrich. Something like that. And hello, Filippo. So the 5 that I will be sampling from For the Scent of It are Mystic Vert, Grand Soleil, Gardenia Colada, Forbidden Fig, and last but not least, Molten Umbra. Do have a small handful of scent strips. I'm running very low. I might be using other things as a substitute as I go along. I have some here courtesy of Miskeo Parfums, which is a house to watch this year. I'll be doing a review of one fragrance from the house that I have gone full bottle, and it is called Pistol. Look out for that next week. I'll be sharing that review on Instagram, Base Notes, and Fragrantica. But she was generous enough to give me several of these, so I have some extra that I can use here. There are only 4 left here, though, so what I may need to do is improvise. Or I might be even daring and put some of these on my skin during first impressions. Which, as we know, with paper being so porous, first impressions are limited. The evaporation is very slow, and it's very hard to discern development. But on the other hand, I don't want to put 10 fragrances at once on my skin. And back to the chat. How's it going, GMG? Great to have you tuned in. Supply and demand, welcome. Scent of the Evening, Sadonaso with a side of Sakura from Ormond Jane. I love the trippy stuff. You will see the name of the artists and album in the description. I believe the name of the album's Dreaming in Color. Weingarten, and another gentleman. See that? My brain isn't working so well. I can't even remember my music. We're going to be playing selections from the entire album during the live stream. We Are Sentient says, love Pistol. The new one is a green gem. Oh, great. I don't have a sample of the newest. Good evening, Dushan. And Scent of the Night is Hermès de l'Ami. So we'll get started. With the first one, Mystic Vert. In Mystic Vert, according to the website, the journey is as follows. Where time ends and nature begins, there lives a wizard. This mystical fragrance opens with the smell of ancient vegetation, green resinous galbanum, and pine balsam stick to your skin as you push your way deeper into the forest. Scattered rays of the sun spill through pine canopy. Whispers of smoke ride the breeze, carrying aloft the smell of burnt ash. A vibrant green clearing comes into view. Small white patches of jasmine and valley lily break the green uniformity surrounding the wizard's ancient home. A moss grows wild around its foundation. Atop a lone table, beside the fire, sits dark patchouli leaves and golden amber, their fate unknown. In the doorway he stands, his eyes as aged as his worn leather robe. This wizard holds the secrets of life. And Michael says his inspiration is that he originally created this fragrance to wear just for himself. And he loves galbanum and loves ashy leather. So the idea for a mystical fragrance was to combine these two notes. And it made him very excited to do so. And he's always been fascinated by magic, mysticism, alchemy, wizards, and witches. You name it. It all began with a Wizard in the Woods accord. From there, I wanted to, not to just, this is now I'm going to do in first person. I wanted to not just create a great fragrance, but also take people on a magical olfactory journey. And I hope you enjoyed the adventure. Hey, Pearly, scent of the night. Pine and fir balsam are my fave notes, says Filippo Morelli. And Marcus S. Reeves says, sounds like a reach. Filippo says a D&D Well, I'll have to see for myself, or smell for myself, rather. I'm going to use this piece of paper. Actually, I'm getting very resourceful here. I'm going to... Yeah. So now I have 8. So I just have to worry about 2 more. Ooh, that's spraying on me just as much as it's spraying on the paper. Ooh. Okay, I'm immediately... This is the funniest thing, okay? So I often say that when I run into fragrances that feature a cannabis note, it doesn't smell like cannabis to me. And I'm fairly certain, based on the notes breakdown here, that the intention wasn't to give off cannabis, but it feels sort of like cannabis. There is definitely that sharp green, stemmy galbanum. And there is the camphoraceousness and needly pininess. Now in the breaks, these are the breaks. In the breakdown, and I'm getting a text as well. In the breakdown, in the heart, is that ash that is mentioned in the description. This is very well blended for an independent perfumer. I am actually very impressed. But that ash accord is what I think is kind of giving me that trempe-lunaise of marijuana. And this leather is ashy, isobutylquinoline. I would think somebody who is appreciative of the older leathers could take well to this. And that's what I have to say. Yes, IBQ. Used very well. I mean, a self-taught or mentored independent perfumer may find it quite a challenge to use IBQ. Well, thank you. But I don't wear white pants before Labor Day. Or before Memorial Day, rather. Or after Labor Day. I follow that rule. You should never wear white, a lot of white, before Memorial Day. Before the beginning of meteorological summer. Apparently Ghost is here. Ghost is... Boz is here. Apparently Boz is here. Who is a ghost to me? I can't see him. Maybe it's just the first... well, we're dealing with paper, so I don't know how much longer that illusion of cannabis will stick around. Or it could just be my perception of it. Maybe it won't come off that way to most people, but for some reason... I think it was a combination of the isobutylquinoline with some of the other elements in it. This is something I almost want to see what it's like on my skin. But so far, so good. Is it magical? I sense a little cynicism here. Is it magical? It's only as magical as one believes. My mother was a big fan of Crystal Gayle, and she had an album of hers, and there was a song called We Must Believe in Magic. We must believe in the guiding light. That's how the lyrics went. Yeah, I'm not going to pick on the description or the journey. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to examine the fragrance itself, but maybe it's magical to someone. Hey, how's it going, Alex? If it is, it is. Yep. If it is, it is. It's the power of, what do they call it? You know, you believe in it and it manifests. This is great, though. Very good. Okay. All right. Let's move to the next one, which is... these are actually in a different direction. Ooh. Mystic Vert. Ooh. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I'm doing these in the right order. Okay, Mystic Vert. And now we are moving on to Grand Soleil. Make sure I have a paper that I haven't already used, and this one is fine. Grand Soleil. Wow. Pretty. I immediately pick up the shiso. It's been very difficult for me to find a fragrance that has a prominent shiso leaf note that resonates with me. So I'll give you a little bit of a background on this one. The journey. Nestled high in the mountains where the sun touches the earth, a hidden oasis. The scent opens with a most invigorating blend of fresh citrus and shiso leaf. Like the sun shining through the leaves, Subtle fruity shades of goji berry dot the landscape, playing tricks on the senses. The heart of this oasis is filled with hinoki and mastic trees, radiant and coniferous. The florals add pops of color, while an orange blossom water, representing the fountain of youth in the middle of the oasis, is refreshing and lively. As you take it all in, grounding notes of vetiver, amber, and sacred frankincense bring you to a halt as the winds carry aloft a friendly... Did I get friendly? I was reading friendly adjacent to heavenly. carry aloft a heavenly musk, a heavenly and a friendly musk. Here's hoping. I think we're going to stay a while. And the inspiration, this scent began with a vision. I envisioned a hidden garden oasis tucked high in the mountains, a fountain of youth in its center, so close to the sun it would be hard to tell if this oasis was on earth or in the heavens. Using ingredients I personally find to be both grounding and euphoric, I wanted this to be the most captivating summer fragrance I've ever smelled. The fountain of youth awaits. Dude, I love this so far. I love that the shiso leaf actually is noticeable. First of all, this is delicious. Now I'm gonna sound like some YouTubers. This is scrumptious. This is yummy, yummy. Oh my! I think this one I definitely want to try on my skin, but I'm only going to try one of each of the 5 on my skin because, like I said, I don't want to overwhelm myself. But a sign that I actually approve of a fragrance is if I keep wanting to sniff it on the paper and examine it and feel it. And this is really nice. So to give the notes breakdown for reference, the top has bergamot lemon, a goji berry accord, which is fascinating, and shiso leaf, which I definitely know shiso leaf is here. And shiso leaf has an essential oil that can be used in perfumery. The heart has iris, orange blossom water. So that would be an accord to give the impression of orange blossom water. Jasmine, hinoki, and mastic. Love mastic, one of my favorite notes. And the base has a sacred frankincense, which I would presume would be Boswellia sacra, the type of frankincense used. And there's also musk, vetiver, and an amber accord. So good, so good. I have to try these on paper, on skin, because if they're this good on paper, and for people who have watched me, they will know that I'm not blowing smoke up this kid's ass. Let me tell you, like if I smell something, you'll see it in my face. Even if I show restraint and an effort to be diplomatic and constructive, you can always see it in my face when I'm having trouble with a fragrance. All right, great. We have 29 people on. Folks, please show your support for this channel. We have 49 supporters for this whole season of my channel. You could be the 50th. And if you buy me a coffee, that's $5. Or if you buy more, that's wonderful. Shows that you are extra supportive. And that's at www.buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Kolb P. Thank you. I did not block Boz. This has been a long mystery that I have tried to solve, where I have looked everywhere. I've looked on Google. I've looked on YouTube at every option to unblock or unremove a restriction. It all started where we couldn't see each other on Dan Naughton, Mr. Smelly streams. So I have not blocked him. It's been like this for a long time. Sir, have a good shisu in Kazahikaru, which I have sampled, and I agree. Quite nice in that one. But this is so good. I'm impressed with this fella. Prices are affordable. Prices are affordable for this brand. We'll talk about that a little bit later. How funny you mention. I have both of them with me, and we'll talk about that later. Okay. Third in line, we have Gardenia Colada. Now, this is the one, if I were to say there were one out of the five that I'd be most concerned about as far as giving me a good feeling, it would be Gardenia Colada. And it is not about the Gardenia, because I'm actually currently obsessed with Gardenia. And on quest to find Gardenia matches the beauty of smelling Gardenia flower. That sort of, it's just Gardenia is so unique in its feel. There's like almost like a metallic feel to it, but also it has this creamy lactonic quality. It's green, but it's also white floral. Talk about magic. I think that gardenias, they smell magical. All right, let's get this one started. So Gardenia Colada, and I'm going to share the notes breakdown on this one. The top notes are pineapple, lime, orange curacao. And pineapple can be a tricky note for me. There are not many fragrances with pineapple that jibe well with me. Although one of my favorite pineapple notes used was in a very old fragrance by Jean Patou, Colony, which may have been one of the first fragrances to have used a pineapple accord. And that was released, I think, in the late 30s or the 40s, if I'm not mistaken. So the heart, it has Gardenia Magnolia Alba. And it's worth noting that Magnolia Alba actually is a flower that produces an oil and an absolute. Also in the heart, rum and coconut, and in the base, vanilla, cocoa musk, and sandalwood. The journey here is you may just decide to take a personal day. Trust me, nobody will blame you. This year-round summer in a bottle opens with a tropical fruit melange of pineapple, lime, and orange curacao, sweet and tart. The gardenia makes its presence known immediately, spiked with a refreshing Magnolia Alba essential oil. Their petals dripping of rum and creamy coconut. What colada would be complete without a little extra sweetness from vanilla? A cocoa musk accord, smooth and sensual, alongside a delicate sandalwood digs you deeper into this tropical paradise. You won't ever need to request time off from work. Nice. So as far as the inspiration, and this is in Michael's words, Gardenia Colada is one of the few fragrances I've created that was born from a name first, rather than a concept followed by a name. I love Gardenia and have always wanted to capture its essence in the perfect way in a fragrance. I also love pina coladas. But does Michael like getting caught in the rain? Is he not much to health food? They both scream tropical paradise to me. One day, while discussing rhymes and drinking a pina colada, I said, "Oh, Gardenia Colada, pina colada, that's perfect." The name was not just fun to say, but it encapsulated a wonderful scent idea. I went through a number of different trials and versions of this scent, and this final version contains my cocoa musk accord, made especially for this fragrance. It's a happy smelling perfume. I just hope this scent makes you smile as easily as it makes me. And we have 25 people tuned in at the moment. JJ, what's in a pineapple accord? Many different things: cyclogalbanate, pherone, amyl glycolate, butyrates of different types, fruity butyrates, all sorts of stuff. There is even a natural isolate of pineapple. And how they create that, I can't answer. All right, let's spray this one. Oh, wow. This kid's got some talent. I got to tell you, I've become so cynical myself of independent perfumers because there's so many out there who are absolute hacks. And they just started studying perfumery 2 fucking weeks ago and then start to sell things online for $200 for a 60 mil. This kid knows what he's doing. All right. This kid knows what he's doing. This is so well blended. Honestly, and I'm not just saying this because I hosted him on my live stream. I call it as I smell it. I'm impressed. Would this be something that I would love? I don't know that yet. All I do know is that there is a great Gardenia accord in this. And there was like an opening of that sort of that flash of rum in the top notes was really impressive. And as far as that sustaining, wow. Oh, yeah. As far as the second one, I think Grand Soleil felt a little bit more magical to me. Yeah. Both were great, though. Hey, Kay. How are you? I would say that I like this a lot more than Virgin Island water because it actually has more going on. And this isn't exceedingly coconutty at all. Thankfully. Because I'm not a huge fan of coconut and fragrance. I love the smell of coconut, but coconut is it's such a huge personality. It's kind of the same reason why I'm on the fence when it comes to chocolate and coffee and fragrance. It all matters how it's blended into the fragrance. And I find that all three of those have a tendency to muscle their way into a composition that ticks me off often when I smell them. But here, no, not at all. Hey, Fernando. Greetings. Wow. The pineapple's muted, which I appreciate. And it's really more Gardenia forward with the other elements sort of swirling around it and creating kind of like a pina colada on the side. Nice stuff. Okay. Next in line is Forbidden Fig. Forbidden Fig. For the scent of it. This eau de parfum features top notes of fig leaf, sunny grapefruit. The heart is fig pulp, and the base is musk. The journey: if a fig falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it fall, well, now you don't have to be. You don't have to be there. This scent conjures up the image of biting into a fresh fig, the rich, leafy aroma still lingering in the air. The invigorating green opening of the fragrance settles into a pulpy, creamy fig center that blends perfectly with the cloud of musk in the dry out. And the inspiration is as follows. This fragrance comes to life after discovering a beautiful Sylvia Plath quote one day. Here's just a fragment, but hopefully it helps you get a feeling for Forbidden Fig. And now I'm paraphrasing a paraphrasing. I saw my life branching out before me like the green fig tree in the story. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and winked. I saw myself sitting in the crotch of this fig tree, starving to death. Just because I couldn't make up my mind which of the figs I would choose, I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest, and that is Sylvia Plath from The Bell Jar. And we'll spray this. Well done. Yes, that classic accord of the stemone with the lactones, gamma undulactone. He has that down pat. Very much more on the stemone side, which I can appreciate. This isn't a very sweet, gourmand, heavy fig. It does push forward that greenness, that astringency, the tannic kind of feel of the skin. Very much so. A lot. Which I can sink my teeth into that. Love fresh figs. They're not for everyone. I think some people are thrown off by fresh figs because of that real leafy greenness of the skin. This is great. This is a great fig. And I'm just going to visit the chat here, so I'm not too far behind. Coconut and fig are perfect in Premier Figuier by L'Artisan. GMG asks, do you have any clue what the coconut castoreum misunderstanding on a lot of listed pyramids, where does that come from? Yeah. Are you talking about mostly Fragrantica? I have some major beef with Fragrantica notes pyramids. First off, there's that. Second, the whole cassis and cassia thing gets confused all the time. Two entirely different things. And cassis is blackcurrant. Cassia is a type of Chinese cinnamon. Very different. Not interchangeable. I see that a lot. Caraway and cumin, different scent profiles. They end up being interchangeable on Fragrantica. Frustrates the hell out of me, and people just run with it. Especially in the reviews. This is testament to the fact that people rely way too much on notes pyramids, because people will just look at what's on the notes pyramid and they'll just say, like, I smell, the caraway in this. It reminds me of freshly baked bread, Irish soda bread. And it's actually cumin being It's actually supposed to be cumin. Or the other way around. It happens all the time. There's that too. Also, I don't know, some folks have noticed Genet or Broom has some sort of mongoose civet-like cat representing it, which is bizarre. And people have really made up this fairy tale that Genet is some type of cat-like creature similar to civet, where we use maybe glands from it, but I don't know where that came from either. There's more examples, but those are the ones that come to mind off the top of my head. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. It stinks being in the UK for a lot of these brands, that don't or can't ship there. I'm sorry. Oh God, Ifra. Don't talk about Ifra. You have to blame the European Union for all of your gripes. I'm not going to go on my soapbox about that, and we're not talking about the Ifra crap. Positive vibes. Hey, Josie. Great to see you. What's going on with Boz? Boz, I don't know if he is doing this or if other people are just really distracted, but whatever's going on, don't hijack my live stream. Don't harsh my mellow right now. It's not all about you right now. If that's what's going on, I can't see. I don't know. But relax, enjoy. I'll play another track from the album. Ah, nice, Pat. Very lovely. Belam from Les Abstraits. Sorry, Josie, I just shared that one again. Is sartorial and modern formulation worth picking up? I don't know for certain, because I don't know if I've smelled the most modern version. I wish I could help you out with that. I'm sure there's all different opinions on that. And it stinks that sometimes it's just so hard to give it a test drive. I mean, not every city and town has a Penhaligon's boutique, and not every metropolitan area even has a place that sells Penhaligons. But maybe you could find a place online that sells samples for not too much, or I don't know. You could email them and see if you could get a few samples. Yeah, I mean, my sartorial's from about 5 years ago, I think. So I don't know how much has changed in 5 years. I do love sartorial, though. This is a great fig. I won't say that it is going to set the world on fire. It is not the most innovative fig, but I got to tell you, it is very well done and smells really lovely. My regards to Michael. This is a very well done fig. And then lastly, we have Molten Umbra. Oh, for crying out loud. I'm sorry. Well, I'm Canadian American. It's true. I always like to point that out. I don't know why I keep forgetting you're in Ireland, which is not part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I'm that much aware. I'm not that deficient with geography. All right, back to the first impressions. Molten Umbra is actually a parfum at 26% concentration. The notes are cinnamon, coriander, pepper, molten amber. Now that's intriguing to me. Molten amber. What is the story there? Iris, Texas, and Atlas cedarwood. Now that's interesting too, because Texas cedarwood is the false cedar that is in the juniper family that we are familiar with, along with Virginia cedarwood, the classic cedar chest / pencil shaving cedar. And then Atlas cedar, Cedrus atlantica, is a true botanical cedar and has a very different scent profile. Not everybody can get with it. I can get with it. I enjoy it. There's some interesting facets to it that are a bit musty and turpentine-like too, resinous, interesting stuff, but I really do appreciate it. Continuing on, sandalwood, resins, musk, and vanilla. Here's the journey. Like lava consuming all in its path, molten amber yields to no one. This hot amber opens with a fiery flash of coriander, cinnamon, and spices. The molten amber slowly makes its descent as it moves down the mountain. Soft and noble woods rise like smoke, drowning beneath the flowing amber. After the mountainside has been consumed, the molten amber cools to a stop. Left behind is the musky, sweet smell of vanilla and sticky resins. This mountain never stood a chance. And the inspiration, Michael says, this scent comes from a deep love for amber and perfumery. It began with a molten amber accord I created, where I envisioned a hot amber sliding down a mountain like lava. I wanted to extend on that idea and build upon it while still keeping much of the same aroma from the original accord. This amber perfume is all about deep woods and spices drenched in resinous amber, perfect for keeping the cold in check. Novara is quite lovely, another great one from Penhaligon's. Ostara is beautiful, one of my favorite Narcissus fragrances. Criminally discontinued, but I'm sure that was a shrewd business decision because it probably was selling next to nothing. Oh my God, what is going on? Can somebody brief me on what is going on with Boz? People are calling him Boz Booby, Bozo. Like, what is going on? Jean-Claude Mishi, thank you for tuning in tonight, tomorrow. Scent of the day, Tobacco Rose by Papillon. All right, we're going to spray this Molten Umbra. Ooh. I like how it's a dry amber. Some of my fingers as well. Now, I'm immediately reminded of Ambra Aurea from Perfumum Roma, which I do want to point out is a type of amber scent that is much more labdanum forward and has these smokier elements. Peppery, a bit hot. It feels like hot, peppery. And now the cinnamon's starting to come through. Really nice, a really nice amber. There's that chewy, chewy smokiness from like that heavy labdanum resin that's coming through. And because we're dealing with paper right now, I'm just getting the beginnings of the top notes of the woods. Great use of cedar. Like I mean, there's this is a little bit more of a woody forward kind of amber. At least it seems that way. I would wear it. I would enjoy it. Wow. I have to say overall, with sampling all 5 of these, that this is a gentleman that, in spite of having only studied for about 7 or 8 years, truly has a handle at balance and form and a more intimate understanding of how materials work with each other or complement each other. He has all of the foundations on lock. It's great. Really great. They're all really, really wonderful scents. I would say out of the 5, the one that I enjoy the most just so happens to be Soleil. And I'll tell you the reason why. So he has his amber, competent amber, smells terrific. It's hard to do a unique amber, but well done. The fig, also. It is impeccably executed. Also, difficult to be innovative with a fig. A lot of fig fragrances out there. The Gardenia, impressive Gardenia accord. Am I a fan of the Pina Colada aspect? Not necessarily. However, that has massive appeal. That could be his breadwinner right there, and can introduce people to how beautiful Gardenia can be in fragrance. And Mystic Vert, also excellent. Just very rounded. Great, the great usage of isobutylquinoline. It's that cannabis feel for that I'm a bit ambivalent towards. However, Soleil is sort of a culmination of, I think, how well he is able to put together a composition and have all of these elements coalesce. And I really think that this is the one that I want to wear on my skin. So out of the 5, I'm going to put this one on the skin. It puts the fragrance on the skin. Radiant. Wonderful lemon and bergamot. Wow. Top notes can be tricky for the beginner perfumer. And I'm telling you, honestly, somebody who has been doing it for less than 10 years is a beginner perfumer. And I'm impressed at the top notes of this. My God. That's my favorite. My favorite is the Soleil. Back to the chat. We currently have 37 people on chat. If you would be so kind to buy me a coffee 1, 2, 3, or 5 to support this channel. It would be greatly appreciated. That's buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Kolb P. We're going to move on to our next track here. And over to the comments. Yeah, so do I. So do I. Wow. I love the Grand Soleil. What the hell? Hey, J.O. What is going on with Boz? Boz is being told to relax. Boz. Bozzarino. Boswaldo. Bozino. Bozamba. Boz. Enough of Boz. Boz. Okay. Next, we're moving on to the other house. The other house that I'm going to be sampling is Sinclair scents. And the perfumer is Diane Sinclair. And just an FYI, Diane will be on Effluvium. And the date for that will be May 23rd. She will be with another perfumer, Roberto Dario, and Rachel and I on May 23rd. So I'm going to be doing 5 first impressions of her work. She first gained acclaim as a crafter of artisanal dairy products. And her dairy work in nature and with the animals and the environment created much of the inspiration for her scents, which I find quite fascinating. What I find with this house is there is this great junction between nature, botany, and perfume. So naturally, for those who are aware of my passions, that would speak to me a great deal. Her teacher and mentor is Eliza Douglas. This is a glass-trained perfumer. She is the treasurer of the Academy of Perfumery Aromatics, and she actually works with Dream Air, along with Christophe Ladamiel. That is her mentor. Her works are, that's Eliza Douglas, her mentor. Diane's fragrances are in small batches with fine ingredients. All of them are considered unisex. And we'll get things started. Yeah, I believe it. And I just can't be bothered anymore. It's like, I mean, people have pointed out to me time and again, it's like any kind of attention that somebody gets when you're on YouTube and you become a content creator, in the end, ends up being some sort of positive attention. You get any kind of attention or notoriety kind of helps, because people are like, what is this guy? Who are they talking about? And then they visit my channel and they give me views. And even if they dislike my video, it still helps my channel. Doesn't matter much to me at all at this point. I've long moved on. Just looking at the chat a little bit more. Fernando, thank you so much as a steward for my channel. Don't forget to hit the like. It does help the algorithm for sure. Helps me out a great deal. Thanks. Yeah, don't give any energy to it. I mean, you got to look at it this way. You know, when people, they hide behind anonymity and they focus on honing in on any kind of vulnerable or negative detail about a person, and it's reductive. You know, you're reducing a person to something that that one may or may not see as a flaw or something, you know, it's just immaturity, you know? Like, who actually would invest that much time, you know, like on a subreddit? You know, these aren't the people. I mean, if they are people, if they're aliases, that's pretty fascinating. If there's somebody who has a public eye, you know, they're on public eye, and then they have like an alias on there. Yeah, I really just can't really be bothered. Exactly. It says a lot more about them. I really just can't be bothered with it. But I appreciate it. I appreciate, you know, the reassurance that, you know, it's kind of stupid. Stupid stuff. Okay. Let's move on to the next. This track is called New Colors, and we're going to move into some new colors. And the first one is, this is Song of Aubrac. Aubrac, Aubrac. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And let me just check my notes. Song of Aubrac, where are you? Here's my notes. Diane says she's trying to give voice to the beauty of one of nature's rarest and most precious materials, perfume materials, that is, Narcissus Absolute. And in this perfume, it is harmonized with other notes to enhance its song. And Narcissus is actually one of my favorite floral notes in fragrance. Most natural Narcissus comes from the poet's Narcissus poeticus. If you are not familiar with Narcissus, it is the family of flowers that includes Narcissus flower, daffodil, jonquil. Try to put this on paper. It's a dabber. Ooh. Top notes are citrus accord, blackcurrant, bud absolute, frankincense, sweet ivy, ambergris tincture. Middle notes, Narcissus Absolute, courtesy of LMR Naturals, IFF. Jasmine Absolute, Ylang Ylang, Orange Blossom Absolute. And the base notes of Indian Sandalwood, double distilled vetiver, tonka bean, and musks. Ooh, this is a deep one. Deep, musky, animalic to Narcissus. Let's see if I'll actually try to just apply this onto the paper a little bit better. Ooh, I applied quite a bit of it on the paper. Thank you very much. Kind of hard to blot with a dabber. Wow. Wow, this is a lot of Narcissus Absolute. This is amazing. There's something that also kind of reminds me of like Cassie Absolute, which I don't think is used here because Diane is very transparent about what materials she's using. This is, okay. This would be, I would recommend this to anybody who loves Une Fleur de Cassis from Frederic Malle. This is sort of like the Narcissus version of that. This is amazing. Wow. Unbelievable. Wow. I just want to put it right on my skin. I should have like a little special effect like ding, 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 ding. Couldn't even wait to sample all of them. Couldn't wait to sample all 5. I want it on my skin. Wow. I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy these. Holy crap. She is able to pull out all of these fascinating, unsettling qualities of natural materials that I think we only see superficially in most modern fragrance. Like, there are master perfumers who have teased us with that. But they don't quite go there, and I understand the reasons why. Diane doesn't seem to care, which I applaud her for that, because this is phenomenal. Wow. I would wear the hell out of this. You know what? Honestly, like, now I'm really excited to try all of her others. Wonderful. Can't stop smelling it. It's just so... It's so raw and so... And the fact that she has these, she has, like, I think, a libidinum resin in it as well, which is sort of adding this effect to it. And there's a butteriness to it too. And a little bit of skank. Yeah. Song of Aubrac. Immediate yes. Yes, 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 yes. Hallelujah. That's right. Okay. I just need to reflect after that. Oh, I know. I'm so sorry about that. Jo, I don't know, where are you outside of the US, if you care to share? We'll see if we can maybe arrange something. I can't guarantee anything, but I figured I'd ask. Well, so far, I thought that one was stunning. Just on the paper and on my skin, like, I really just want to spend a good amount of time with that one. My goodness. My goodness. Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lord. We have 34 people who are tuned in right now. Time to give shout outs. I'm going to be opening my email. I'm going to be expecting a few coffees. That's right. That's right. Let's see. I currently have 0 coffees, and that needs to change. If people would like me to stay on until 9 p.m., we need to reach a minimum goal of 10 coffees. That's a minimum goal of 10 coffees. Let's see if we can get to it. I will stay on until 9, and I'll even try to get another panelist. That's buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Kolb P. And your support does not go unnoticed. Yes, Michi. It is, I swear. Like, I mean, this is just a cursory decision. I mean, I need to spend more time with it, but that's how I'm feeling about it. And I'm loving it. GMG, sometimes I see base notes listed as top notes, just like ambergris in this case. Is there a specific reason for that, or is it just misrepresentation? I mean, evaporation time is not so tweakable. That's a good question. I don't know why those decisions are made. When we look at base notes, though, something to remember with a lot of base notes is that base notes have top notes as well. So in the opening, depending upon how much of a base note there is in a fragrance, you may get some of the top notes of it at the beginning. So maybe this is a way of sort of highlighting. I don't know. It's an interesting decision. I mean, you could definitely smell, I could smell some ambergris tincture in this too, which is probably why I was, flipping, because I love ambergris tincture. I love ambergris. I love that I have a piece in my possession as reference as well. And it's just one of the most otherworldly smelling things. Norway. Okay. Yeah. Oh man. That must be tough getting, some things from houses overseas. Bummer. Yeah, I don't know. Well, if you're on, I don't know if you're on Instagram, and I don't recognize, I don't put two and two together, and I don't know who you are on there. But if you are, send me a message on there, or we'll work something out. We'll see. All right, new colors in the sun. Okay, just wanted to put a little bit more music on here. 30 people on. Boswellia fragrantica. Yeah, that's a good one. Boswellia. Love it. All right, the next one. This is Gardener's Glove. Gardener's Glove. Ooh. This is a bit arresting, just smelling it from this little dipstick. Wow. This is very unusual stuff right here. This is not for the mainstream, that's for sure. I'm far from it, but I'm sure your average perfume enthusiast will not sure how to wrap their head around this one. It's really... This is some earthy stuff, and that's an understatement. I can't even find like the right descriptor for this right now. It's extremely green, but also there's a bitterness. And there's saffron too, which is adding to that bitterness too, in a way. So I'll read a little bit to you the information on Gardener's Glove. This was launched in 2018. The notes are tomato leaf, galbanum, lemon, and bergamot. Middle notes, lime, blossom, linden blossom, which is one of my favorite smells as well. I've been trying to find the elusive, perfect linden blossom fragrance. Now, linden blossom, there are a few different varieties. They are a popular ornamental tree. They often grow along the street. And or at least around this part of the world, in New England, here in the US, they start to bloom in June, and they give off this intoxicating pollen-y, honeyed, slightly citrus, just this beautiful aroma that just fills the humid air on like a humid day, because it's usually like mid to late June. It's just a balm in the air. It's so good. Love the smell of linden blossom. Not detecting the linden blossom in this just quite yet. This is a challenging one. It really is. There's just a very sour element, and I didn't even finish reading the notes here. I stopped at linden blossom and went on a tangent, but we also have jasmine sambac, jasmine, which I think may just be jasmine grandiflorum, rose, apricot, blackcurrant, and lily. Base notes, leather, vetiver, castoreum, fir, patchouli, benzoin, amber, and saffron. I mean, of course, I love my green scents. They can be bitter, they can be sour, they can be tart, they can be sharp, they can be harsh, and I'll just lavish in all of it. And that's what this is. All of those adjectives. People might not necessarily find this to be very pretty, but I don't think it's meant to be pretty. So, from her website, if you work amidst the thorns, thorn and bramble, you know that the gardener's glove is a soft, pliable leather worn down from work in all the right places. The scent carries the background fragrance of the glove, tanned, aged leather, woods, and soil, along with the ambrosial elements of the garden, with sumptuous jasmines, roses, green blossoms, and ripe fruit. I am really enjoying sniffing, and making sense of it all. It would be cool to see how this reacts on my skin. "29 people tuned in. This I was looking forward to trying. This is actually called Frost, but it isn't frost as in what develops on your window on a cold day. This is Frost in honor of Robert Frost, the poet. So I'll give you some information on Frost. So this is an homage to the great New England poet Robert Frost. Didn't mention this earlier, but actually, Diane is from Vermont. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from where I am here in Massachusetts. We're both native New Englanders. So this is an homage to Robert Frost, whose summer writing cabin in the woods still stands a mere 25 miles from her farm. And that's upstate Vermont. And many of Frost's poems are filled with olfactory imagery. This particular scent follows the story of Frost's poem To Earthward, which describes the transformation of youthful love from sweet like the petals of the rose in sprays of honeysuckle to painful love, which stings like bitter bark, burning clove, and rough earth. This scent weaves together chords of clove and smoke, bitter woods and earth, sweet rose, and rose geranium. So rose geranium basically is the geranium that we find in fragrance, Pelargonium graveolens. Fun fact for those of you who aren't aware, we get the essential oil and the absolute, the natural material, from the leaves, not the flower. The flowers don't really have much of a scent. It's all in the essential oils of the leaves. It's sort of like an herb. So there's also, in addition to the rose and rose geranium, sprays of honeysuckle and sparkling citrus. Dushan, thank you very much for the super sticker. Your support is appreciated. Thank you very much. Who would like to surpass him in the contribution? Be a peach. Help a brother out. Thanks, Dushan. All right. Frost. Ooh. Frost. Darren Allen, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, that would make a great name. I agree. Acquainted with the night. Okay, I am just as transfixed by this as I was with the first offering song of Aubrac. Wow. There's such a hypernaturalism to the point where it almost feels surreal. It's like this liminal space between the real and the surreal. So all those citruses are starting to transition into something more green, more floral. Something that kind of reminds me of the way, these flowers feel and like how they smell in like these thickets in early summer. But there's also this smokiness, the smoky undercurrent. Okay, that's a candidate for putting on skin as well. And the petit grain as well. That's coming through. And the petit grain, if you're not familiar, folks, with petit grain are the leaves of the bitter orange tree. So you can also actually get petit grain from other citrus trees as well. I must add, you could get them from bergamot, lemon, lime, so on and so forth. But the most common petit grain would come from the bitter lemon. From the bitter orange, and the bitter orange leaves. They have a much more green. It's a specific kind of green. It's the greenest kind of citrus. It's kind of adjacent to neroli, but also adjacent to the zest and the pith and the pulp of the fruit. But it's very leafy as well. We get petit grain from the leaves. We get neroli from the blossoms. The essential oil from the blossoms is neroli. And then the absolute is what we get from the orange blossom for an orange blossom accord, because the scent profile differs from the essential oil to the absolute, the solvent extraction of the scented material from the flowers. And then, of course, there's also bitter orange oil from the oranges. And there's a very interesting synergy between the geranium and a bit of rose, the petit grain, the clove. Suggestions of like a classic masculine. But it's much more than that. It's much more than that. Like I said, it's sort of this naturalism leaning into supernaturalism, or realism leaning into surrealism. Nice stuff. All right, we have two more from St. Clair Scents. Next in line is First Cut. The first cut is the deepest. Whoa. Beautiful color. Look at that. That verdure. That vivid green. First Cut. I'm going to try to guess what materials had imparted this hue to the perfume. I'm so bad at getting this to focus because it's just my shitty laptop camera. But we'll do an upgrade. I promise there'll be an upgrade soon. First cut. Look at that color. You can see through the light too. All right, let's sample this. Ooh. Oh. Now this, agrestic. It's so agrestic. And what do I mean by agrestic, children? Boys and girls, agrestic. Something that's agrestic feels very much of the countryside. Very pastoral, backwoods, back roads, farms, pastures, fields, meadows, wildflowers, hay. Mm. Mm-mm. So first cut is an aromatic fougere. First launched in 2018. The top notes, oh yeah, this makes sense looking at the top notes because I'm getting all of that. And the top notes are kind of reminding me of like a little bit of eau de campagne from Sicily, Paris. The top notes: bergamot, yuzu, rosemary, basil, tomato leaf absolute. Middle notes of lavender absolute. So not the essential oil, but the absolute. Rose de Mai, May rose. Rose, geranium, and immortelle absolute. Base notes of hay absolute, tobacco absolute, oak moss, and vanilla absolute. We have another winner here. Oh god. This is like full bottle kind of stuff. Full bottle! I'm gonna go full bottle on a St. Clair. That's right. On the website it says the hay harvest is the focus of every dairy farmer's summer, keeping the fields regenerating and providing hay for the cows in winter. The mowing and drying of native grasses, clovers, wildflowers, and legumes takes 3 days of sunshine and many hours of hard work. The scent is of meadows, herbaceous and green, with wildflowers strewn throughout and splashed with radiant sunshine. Beautiful. There's real legibility to the naturals here. When I say legibility, it's like, I know, I smell it. I just know there's a whole lot of hay absolute in this. It is very high in a coumarin content, and it smells like just like that, you know, when they in the deep of the summer, almost like as autumn is approaching, and you have that at nighttime, you have that sweet tonka like coumarinic smell coming from the grasses and the wildflowers. But you also have this this other side of it that is much more brighter and greener and leafier. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. That might be a contender for the winner of the night, I must say, out of all of them. Because I'm a sucker for agrestic scents. Beautiful. Yeah, this would be for fans of Ducita Zerawan. Orisa Lagran's Chypre Mousse. Yerba Mate from Lorenzo Villoresi. Sicily's Eau de Campagna. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. I can't stop smelling it. Thanks, Dusan. Oh, wow. Yeah, this might be a contender for the winner of the evening. These are honestly, both of these perfumers are so talented. Like, how did I only be just smelled their work? It's incredible. Like, everything that I've smelled has just been so good. We have one last one here from St. Clair. Casablanca. I saved this one for last per a recommendation. Casablanca. F. S. GJ. What's going on? We are sentient. What's happening? Go on skin? You want me to go on skin? Okay, just clarify. Do you want me to just put this right onto the skin? Is that what you're saying? Just let me know before I get started. SR. That's still vague. What's going on? Do it. Do it. Okay. Well, all right then. I will. Let's see. We'll read a little bit about this one. Casablanca. This is considered a floral woody musk, released in 2018. Top notes are mandarin orange, pink grapefruit, and black currant, with middle notes orange blossom, tuberose, jasmine, ylang ylang. Base notes are civet, hyrax, oak moss, benzoin, labdanum, musk, and vetiver. Whoa. Okay, base notes have a lot of animals. A lot of animals. This is a zoo. This is a menagerie, all right? There's a lot of animals. Civet, hyrax, and musk. Lots of furries. Not furry animal. Not the furries that go to conventions. I'm taking a piece of paper, but I've been told to put it right on my skin. I'm going to read what it says on the website, though. I had been watching the snow fall outside of my window for 3 months, at times blowing horizontally on winds, wailing down from the polar vortex. I tried to conjure a way to transport myself to a place far away, a place with warm air and perfumed flowers and fruit, a garden in paradise with odors of mossy dirt, smooth woods, and light green notes, and darker woods, sweating their rich balsamic resins. Sweating. Love it. In the evening, my garden would be bursting with intensely sweet orange blossoms, wafting their sultry notes of indole into the night ear. Encircling that would be the intoxicating notes of meaty tuberose, with its sweet, long dry down. Juicy, tart notes of mandarin and grapefruit would brighten the mix as the animalic notes of slinking evening creatures mixed with floral richness. I could smell a floral sheepa twisting towards oriental darkness, capturing the romantic, sexy chiaroscuro of my tropical oasis, another world from my barren winter existence. Damn. All right. I'm building up the anticipation to wear this. Rumple foreskin. Hi. Hey. Rumple foreskin. An officer and a gentleman. Okay. Rumple foreskin, I want to know your identity. I love that you are you're doing a parody of that that Cheeto eater. All right, I'm putting on Casablanca. Casablanca. I'm putting it on my skin. It's glistening on my skin right now. Ooh, lordy. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Ooh. Ooh, wow. Wow. Mm. What an opening. It opens quite polite, but I know what's lurking underneath. I can sense it. That orange blossom is divine. Wow. Ooh. So much in the way, so much natural material. Ooh. This is sultry. This is meaty. This is sweaty. This is dripping. This is ripe. It's, yeah, this is sexy. Yeah, I'm feeling the jasmine, the heady jasmine. There is a lot of indoles here between the orange blossom and the jasmine. And I love there is a significant mandarin orange note, just very quenching. Thankfully, I don't pick up too much pink grapefruit. Grapefruit to me is a good sort of like supporting note. It kind of can sing from a distance, but I don't like it. I generally don't like it front and center, though I love to eat grapefruit. Wow. Yeah. This is impressive stuff. I think for people who appreciate what Liz Moores does with Papillon, could stand to check this one out. Some of those opulent animalic chypres from the 80s, like La Nuit de Paco Rabanne, Teatro alla Scala from Crizia. Yeah. But this has a heavy dosage of naturals that lend this sort of vitality, and there's like such a dripping, oozing kind of sensuality. Overripe Belangila. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens once those animal notes start to come to the fore. Please describe that smellgasm to us. I'm a proper man. I have manners. I'm not going to lose my composure here, but yeah, it's getting me a little hot and bothered, this Casablanca. Fascinating. Wow. Oh, first cut? Wait, I already did first cut a little bit earlier. I was in love with first cut, as a matter of fact. Here they are. Oily, heavy, panting. Nice. All right, Diane St. Clair, you make some gorgeous creations. You definitely do. And so do you, Michael Schrammel. I tip my hat to both of you. This is the first time in quite some time that I can recall being impressed as much as I am by two independent perfumers. It's outstanding work. And I look forward to spending more time with these samples and getting to know their work a little bit more, for sure. Time is now 7:36. We still don't have any coffees. If you would like me to stay on past 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the goal was actually 10 coffees. We have one from Fernando. Much love to you, my friend. 1 down, 9 to go. Thank you so much. Just saw that come through. You've been more than supportive over the months and the almost year that I've had the channel. So my regards to you, my friend. But we need 9 more coffees. If you can buy me just one, that's $5. You could buy all 9, $45. And that will keep me on after 8. And we may even have another panelist. 34 people are on currently. So the verdict is, for the scent of it, Michael Schrammel, talented. Excellent work. Thoroughly enjoyed sampling all 5 of them. Same goes for Diane Sinclair. I am fascinated with her ability to bridge botany and the natural world into her work. And to have that kind of concept is not an easy feat. And she achieved that. So both of them, wonderful. This has been great. I've been really enjoying this. And I can't say that happens very often. Like I said, with independent perfumers, it can be very hit or miss. And I've smelled a number where I would frankly want to tell them to get back to the drawing board and to put having their works for public consumption, putting that on hold until they master their craft. Not the case with these two. These two are very talented and they know their onions, as one would say. I also wanted to read this that accompanied Diane's samples. My scents are a labor of love. Each one is composed, blended, and bottled by hand in small batches on my farm in Orwell, Vermont. I hope that my perfumes give you a unique way to experience the world and take you on a journey of sensual memories and olfactory pleasures. Signed, Diane Sinclair, SinclairScents.com. The information for both of these perfumers is in the description. You can check out their website. You can order samples and learn more about them. And here is For the Scent of It's business card. Wonderful logo, the tree that forms an S, sinewy. Life has its twists and turns. For the Scent of It, Artisan Perfumery. And on the backside here, independently crafted niche perfumes, responsibly sourced, quality materials, cruelty, paraben, phthalate, and dye-free. Contact for custom scent projects. And he is on Instagram as For the Scent of It. And you can visit his site at forthescentofit.com. Lots of wonderful smells taking place in my room right now. Wow. Truly impressed. And I'm going to go back to the chat. Darren says, Michael's work is very good. You can tell he really gets to know his materials. Exactly. That's what I was saying earlier. His work demonstrates his understanding for his materials. He has gotten well acquainted and intimate with them. He knows their purpose. He knows how they work together or potentially against each other. He understands those principles, and there is that spirit in the work as well as a result of that, of understanding the relationships that take place with using raw materials, natural and synthetic. Absolutely. Thanks so much, We Are Sentient. Have a great evening. We have 24 currently on. I'm going to check the roster here. Pat Lester, thank you so much for buying a coffee. This isn't your first time. You're a continued supporter, and it means a great deal to me. Thank you very much. We have 8 more. We have 25 people tuned in, and we are looking for 8 more coffees. A coffee is $5 each. And getting 8 more coffees will ensure that I stay on until after 8 p.m. and I have some more things that I can share. Maybe some things that I wouldn't normally share in a live stream. Maybe some hot goss. Maybe some fragrances that nobody else talks about, not even people on Instagram. I could say no one's talking about this one. I could do comparisons. Have a good evening, Marcus's Reef. Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. There's one. After much resistance, because the prices are just too exorbitant, and you could, at one time, get the older versions of this for $40, $45. I found it for a little bit cheaper than what it normally goes for. I did get an older version, a vintage of Azure. And it goes along with the newer version of Azure. I have both. I have both now. I can compare. I can contrast. They can keep each other company, young and old. I'll get into that a little bit. In a little bit, 8 o'clock. Hey, Dave. Off topic, I know, but do you enjoy Amouage? I have a confession to make. I do, but not enough to have ever gotten a full bottle of any. And I'm sure I'd be raked through the coals for that. But I have a lot of samples. I have a good enough amount of samples to last me a long time. But it's just not a house that I fell head over heels over. It really just honestly isn't. And I hope that's okay. It doesn't mean I don't think it's great perfume. Some of it's excellent. It just, not one of them spoke to me enough to say, you know what, I really want to get into this house hardcore. And the truth comes out. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. That's true. You got to buy what you love. You do. That's the important thing. I think a lot of us have a lot of pressure. They feel a lot of pressure, especially watching like content creators. And if they send that message like, your collection is not complete unless you have at least a few Amouage, or a few Guerlain, or a few of this, a few of that. But you have to follow your instincts. You have to follow that intuition. Your nose is not broken. There's nothing wrong with your taste. If you decide that you don't want to add it to your collection, that's fine. And just because I have something and I think it's incredible, I wouldn't ever want to send the message to somebody like, yeah, any serious collector should have this, because I mean, think about Derek Varanis Radari. You know, that's kind of verging on gatekeeping. If you're deciding for other people what their taste should be, you know, you can be a tastemaker and not, you know, not be too self-conscious about it and let your ego get to you. But when you start to say that like any serious collector must have A, B, C, and D, it's like, what does it mean to be a serious collector? Who decides that? You know, who decides what someone should have in their collection. That's a very personal decision. And I think when you start having those conversations, you get into some problematic territory, you know? It's just like with formulations too. It's like, far be it from me to tell somebody that like they're not allowed to enjoy like a newer version of something. Like, why am I going to rain on their parade? You know, I never believed in that. And I've been very outspoken about it for a long time, and I'm still of that opinion. And thankfully, I mean, there's not too much of that kind of banter that I run into, at least on YouTube. It's like more so on like forums. And I think it's easier for people to be that cavalier about it on forums because, you know, you're not really like an on-air personality or whatever you want to call it. But I don't believe in that kind of stuff. And I would like to think that people wouldn't, you know, put that on me either, you know. Like, you can't be really a serious perfume expert if you haven't collected full bottles of a certain house, or it's just, yeah, I don't, that kind of stuff doesn't sit well with me at all. Yeah. And that's the way it is. It's very personal. And it doesn't need to be a collection thing either. Exactly. You know, the individual decides like how much or how little perfume they want in their life. You know, really pragmatic people are not going to want a lot of perfume because they know they're not going to use it. And then there's nutty people like me who know that I'm obviously not going to use it, but I'm a collector. I'm definitely a collector, and I like to curate my collection and have things for reference. But it's a very specific species, and I don't think that we should ever behave as if everybody's on that same sort of tip, like collecting a museum of fragrance. I mean, it's not. It takes a little bit of dedication and a lot of money. So I would say that if somebody has a small collection and they don't really feel like collecting a great deal, then keep feeling that way. Just have what you love and enjoy it and wear it. It's very important. Yeah, and I have to dust my collection because I can't use it all the time, for sure. And there are many of us out there. We see it. We see, you know, the shelves and a lot of the perfumes and stuff, and it's a very personal decision. So I think that at one time I was a lot more, you know, prescriptive about it, and I think that came from a place of like projection, like, oh God, you know, I'm starting to be this collector weirdo, but at least I'm not that bad. Well, one day I got that bad, so you know. But I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. I think I'm beginning to have a better understanding and know what my goal is in this with my collection. Know that there is a little bit more of a purpose behind it. Totally. Big collection or small, it's personal. And you can't prescribe that to other people. You know, I really admire the content creators who are like, one in, one out. I'm only going to have 30 or 40. And that's more like being kind of like you're very fine tuned to what you love. It's a very different relationship. And it speaks to how varied the relationship is that we have with fragrance. One day I got that bad. It's true. I was like, I started off as a baby collector myself, and I'm like, what the hell? Like a 20-minute video of somebody showing like their shelves and shelves of perfume, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope I never turn into that. Well, ding dong, I did, you know, and I'm just beginning to feel like I've reached like a tipping point. So, in Fragcom terms, Fragcom. Well, the thing about Fragcom is there's just so many sort of like subcultures. I mentioned this a little bit on our stream on Tuesday, that there's like these little subcultures within the culture. So it depends on what subculture you're in. You know, if you're in the sort of like, I collect a lot of vintages and a lot of like haute perfumery, and you know, 75 might be a modest size, but if you're somebody who's more a beginner or you're more practical, 75 is kind of pushing it. That's a lot. And certainly to the rest of the world, that's a ton. Like, people are not going to understand why you have 75. But you can't really compare. Comparing is, it does us no good to make comparisons. It really doesn't. Oh, no, not at all, Dave. I didn't read that at all that way. I totally knew where you were coming from, and it was from a good place. And it sounds like the relationship that you have is a healthy relationship. Yeah, it's $30, 30 fragrances, 40 fragrances. To me, that's like, yeah, that's manageable. Yeah. And yeah, caboose juice, one in, one out. Especially when you're trying to articulate your taste as well. Like, don't put the cart before the horse. Don't, you know, just don't fly off the rails or whatever. You know, I'm trying to think of the right expression, but don't take your time. Don't give in to impulse. Don't give in to hype. Pay attention to when it starts to feel like FOMO, when people start saying, this is about to be discontinued by singles, doubles, triples. This is the superior version. This is the only version that matters. You must spend the $200, $300 on this version. Not the new version. The new version is allegedly inferior. Let's get into this a little bit. 7:53. But first, I'm going to check the Buy Me a Coffee roster, because we are expecting a few more. We currently have 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. Our goal is 10 to get through 8 p.m. And I am currently working on getting a panelist, possibly, to kind of join me in a little bit of a conversation for the 3rd hour of this stream. 2 out of 10. Our goal is 10 coffees. We need 8 more coffees. That's 8 times 5, $45 total. You can buy 1, 2, 3. You can buy all 8 to show your support. Darren, great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. There's a fine line between a collection and a museum, but not sure where it is. It is right here. Where I am, it's getting to feel like a museum. It's getting to feel a little overwhelming. But it's a process. It's a process. I do have a feeling there will come a point where I'll start to trim the fat, because where I was in my journey through fragrance 2, 3, 4 more years ago, I was in a different place. I was the frontier is now very familiar to me. So there's going to be some things where, do I really want to hold on to this? Does this have significance to me? I could even pull a Marie Kondo. Does this spark joy? Does every one of these spark joy? Does every one of them have some sort of significance? And I'm fairly certain the rational side of me says, no, not really. But, and if I sell things off, I'll let people know. And Pearly says, I need to sell off a big part of my collection. Do you guys usually go with eBay? That's how I usually do eBay. Or I try to let people know online first. I try to make people who I know aware ahead of time. Then I work on eBay. One thing that I did get, and it was kind of sort of had to do a little bit with the with discontinuation fears, and I finally did get myself a bottle of Cristal, a full bottle of Cristal. Chanel Cristal, Henri Robert. Reference material, but it also smells fantastic. Love the opening, love the dry down. Still smells gloriously mossy. This is one where you have to be careful if you're getting a vintage. I chose not to get a vintage because I've heard so many horror stories of this kind of getting a little bit not so great as it ages because of it's very top heavy. But I picked this up. Shout out to Super Deca. He was voicing his concerns about this being discontinued, which would be the first discontinuation that Chanel would have done with a perfume in production. It would be a first, at least since the early days. Cristal. And Dave says, I would love to have a few well-curated vintage, but again, I got to find the ones that blow my socks off. I have no vintage at all. Yeah, the ones that, exactly, nail on the head. Make sure you're in love with them. Just don't get them because a lot of people are talking about there's something that you know. I can be an advisor. I can help. But I don't want to feed into the FOMO either. It's like I feel that self-consciousness about that. Like, like I don't want to be a contributor to that. I don't want to motivate people to have an addiction to collecting fragrances and spending money. GMG says, I'm having a hard time selling vintage stuff while new stuff sells like hotcakes. Sold the current Egoiste yesterday in 15 minutes. The current version, but the vintages are having a more difficult time. Yeah. It really depends on the vintages, but yeah. And what are you using to sell things? What platforms? We have 28 people on. It's 7:59, and I was hoping to reach my goal. We got one from the Boos. Peace and love from the Boos. 3 out of 10 at 7:59. Come on, man. Now I'm starting to sound like Biden, and that's really bad. I'm starting to sound like Biden. That's not a political statement. It's just a I'm losing my mind kind of statement. Hopefully not. 7 more. Good night, Boz. Boz could have bought me a coffee for all the headaches, sucking all the oxygen out of the room, and he couldn't even leave me a $5 coffee. Boz, you owe me. Next time you're around. Bye, Boz. I'm just joking. Just joking. He's a sweetheart. Sensitive. And I don't like picking on sensitive people. He's a nice guy. All right, it's 8 p.m. and we did not reach our goal. So what does that mean? Does that mean I go to the little end broadcast button, say goodnight, night-night? Toodaloo. Pip pip. 7 more coffees. Mercari. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we have the American version of Mercari. I've thought about selling from there, but I've bought from Mercari. So far, Fernando Soto, Pat Lester, and the Caboose. has contributed coffees for the evening. So as you know, Effluvium is going to be wrapping up its season at the end of May. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more episodes until summer session. I'm going to be doing summer session special editions once a month. June 27th will be Per Soleil's. The other two will be TBA, to be announced. And if anybody has any suggestions for maybe guests for the second season, yep, that's season 2, 2023, 2024, let me know who you'd like to see on the panel. For the 27 people tuned in, let's get some suggestions on who you would like to see on the panel in upcoming episodes of Effluvium, Season 2, starting September 2023. Tripler, what's up? Tripler, the Triceratops. What's poppin'? You missed out on some great first impressions from For the Scent of It and St. Clair Scents. And of course, like all live streams, they will be archived. This will be archived. Suggestions. Leave your suggestions in the chat for guests during the Season 2 of Effluvium starting September 2023. Tripler says he is trying some Declaration Haute Fraîcheur. Mathilde Laurent's greens are phenomenal. Sounds lovely. Just giving you a heads up on some things that are happening from channels that I'm subscribing. Pep the Sentinel, he will have what looks to be a live stream where he showcases his entire bottle collection. He is actually a sensible collector. His collection is modest, but really high in quality. He'll be doing that at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Scented Moments, best fragrance notes for spring, designer and niche. He was one of our guests for Effluvium recently. Good chap. Varanus Radari did a video, posted it 5 hours ago, Unlist 15, synthetic versus natural perfume materials. Wafts from the Loft, D. Gray Alter Oud. I was talking on Tuesday about how I'm not exactly a huge fan of oud. I'm pretty fastidious when it comes to oud myself. I can't really sink my teeth into it. Right? Mighty quiet, isn't it? Is that the real Boswellia? Is Boz back, or is there a Boz burner? And Fernando says, I never get tired of Donna, but of course Lanier and Chris will be fantastic to see. Yeah, I'm still working with Lanier Smith, rescheduling his appearance for this season, if possible. And I'm sure Donna will be joining me again at some point this year. And of course, Chris, Scentland, the land of scent. There's been much demand for he and I and Alex to join together for another stream. So I will start chatting a little bit about the comparison that I made between, pardon me, this, a 90s version. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't get like an even older version. A 90s version of Azure. I can show you there. That's how it looks on the label. And then the repackaged version of Azure here. And these were repackaged, redesigned, all of the classic Estee Lauder scents: Azure, Alliage, Cinnabar, Estee, Beautiful, etc., etc. And my verdict is while I am thrilled to have a vintage version of this, and I was able to find it for cheaper than what it's currently going for, which in all honesty was still pretty expensive. It was $130, and it's been going for like $250, sometimes $300. It's gorgeous. Like, it is so much meatier and more vetiver heavy, more moss heavy. It is just divine stuff. However, the one that I had before, the current Azure, or I don't know however old this is, I don't know, since the repackaging or our reformulating, all that, the florals are pushed much more forward here. And this is something that would be such a great wear in the summertime, to have this leather chypre for summer. Now, that's not just like, I'm not kind of like throwing like, low-key shade at the reformulation. This is great. This is really great stuff. Like, I wouldn't knock this. I loved it before I got the older version, and I still do. So for those of you out there who maybe don't want to spend that much on, the original, arguably the original version of Azure, to pick this up. It's cheap. It's good. I think it's pretty well done. We don't know for a fact exactly what they had to do to reformulate, why they had to reformulate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That fucking conversation's getting so exhausting at this point. This is going to be so much cheaper. And if you don't want to spend the money on this, I have a suggestion for you. If you're really hell-bent on getting an older version of it, wait for as long as I did, because I slept on this when it was this version a number of years ago, which, not the first time, certainly not the last. I've done it so many times. I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and just kept it as a save search until one day it would come up and it would be a lower price. And it took me, 2 years. So you could do that and just be patient, and don't be impulsive, and don't give in to all of the, this is the kind, this is the one that you got to have. Get it. Like, even if people are not actually saying it, there is that feeling you get like, oh my God, that's the one. This one is bullshit. No, get this. It's cheap. It's good. And then if you want to get an older version, just be patient, persevere, and then maybe eventually you can find it where it's not going to cost an arm and a leg. But this wears really great. It really does. It feels, the freshness in this, it's hard to match that with older bottles. I've seen people bragging about even older bottles than this, and I'm sure, they still smell great, but there's something to be said about the top notes. And the top notes are really great in this. currently raining here in Massachusetts. Love, Donna. Tripler says, honestly, for vetiver, I've really been enjoying Theseus lately. Primo stuff. So this week, tomorrow specifically, I'll be doing a Lily of the Valley video to round off the Spring Floral series that I'm doing on my YouTube channel. And I'm thinking about, for my next video, doing a Lorenzo Villoresi profile, house profile, which will include Theseus. Yes, I finally have the lovely vintage Azure, but I also have the lovely modern Azure. Together at last. I would have put some on, but I already have so much of those great fragrances that I was sampling swirling around in my office here. I got a notification. Mishi bought 3 coffees. Much love to you. Thank you so much. We are now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 3 coffees left. Does anybody want to help out? Dushan, you're exempt. You bought a super chat, so you don't have to worry about it. I'm seriously considering it for next week. Yeah. Lorenzo Villoresi profile of all the fragrances that I have in my possession from the great perfumer. So I asked about future panelists, and if anybody still has any suggestions, let me know. But how about future topics? Future topics for videos. Let me know. And enjoy the music. Dushan, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Forenzi would make an amazing travel show. JJ Villoresi and Santa Maria Novella. Yeah. The Italians, they're good at what they do. That's for show. 27 people online. It means a lot to me that 27 people are willing to tune in while I sit here and just meander. Not really. I talked about Azure. Got that out of the way. Chatted a little bit about the Cristal that I bought. Cristal EDT. Oh, here's one of my favorite rose fragrances. I wore this this afternoon. Because I always wear another fragrance in the afternoon. Whatever I put on in the morning has dried down to a certain level that there's room. And honestly, if there were fragrances that were still pumping out, that would be a little much. I like having multiple fragrances throughout the day. Here is Domenico. Oh, speaking of Italians, Domenico Caracini. 1913, one of my favorite rose fragrances. This is actually a barbershop powdery powder shop. It's like a combination of barbershop and powder. It's a barbershop rose. This is the EDT version. I do believe the EDT version is now discontinued and has been replaced by an EDP. Rumor has it's a little bit more modernized. Take that as you will. Modernized can mean different things. This is very classical, very, it takes you back to, the fragrances of the 60s, but with a bit more heft. And it's just a really debonair fragrance. Domenico Caracini, 1913. This is the EDT version. The EDP version is the one that is currently available on Lucky Scent. Price is Really outrageous. So get a sample and see what you think of it. So this is one of my favorite rose fragrances, which, hey, I could do a favorite rose fragrances video. The possibilities are endless. Love rose. Thanks, Tripler. GMG says, new topics. I know I'm a broken record. Aroma chemicals. And that, my friend, is a great suggestion because I can actually pull some aroma chemicals out of storage that are being stored in a safe, cool, dry place and just talk about them. So, yeah, that's a great idea. Aroma chemicals, because I did a little bit of dabbling at one point in perfume making for a few years. And it's great to have raw materials for reference. When you get to like a certain level and you're trying to figure out like, what is it that I'm smelling? What am I looking for? How do I identify these things? It really helps. And it's not the most expensive thing in the world, at least with, most common materials. All right, so I'll put down aroma chemicals. Death in perfumery. Good to see you, Philippe Alex. So death in perfumery, like themes of death in perfumery. I'm assuming that's what you mean. And I'll put it down. People have a very difficult time, even so much as mentioning death, let alone having whole discussions of it. It's a very uncomfortable subject for a lot of people. But the more you talk about it, the less uncomfortable it is. That's how that works. Whether discontinuation, death of a brand or a perfumer, especially with niche and indie brands, we don't know how it will pan out. Okay. I thought you meant like themes of death and fragrance. Like, that's some heavy stuff, but hey, I'm willing to tackle even the most challenging subjects. But that, I could do that. That would be a little bit easier. Discontinuation. I often think about how things would have been if it were not for the fact that Mona Diorio passed away not very long after her perfume brand came onto the scene. Thank you for that suggestion. I gotta jot it down. The topic of maceration and aging. Good one. I touched upon that a little bit on my video for falsehoods, fragrance falsehoods and misinformation. But maceration is a fascinating subject in terms of, what are some of the characteristics in fragrance that are almost desirable as they age or degrade? That would be a cool subject to explore. And death themes as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm open to that too. Don't know how frequent they are. I mean, I did a gothic fragrances video, but that doesn't necessarily mean that any of those fragrances pertain to death. But I think thematically there are some fragrances that consider decay, impermanence, loss, bereavement, funereal sense. They're out there. There's enough of them. Tasty. Thank you very much, GMG. That's very kind of you. So some of the topics that I already do have lined up. So I have up here the Lorenzo Villoresi house profile. scents for camping in the outdoors, which is interesting because I doubt if I would wear scents while camping and in the outdoors, but I could kind of frame it this way: scents that are evocative of the outdoors and camping. That's something. Mysterious fragrances, you know, scents with an air of mystique. And I'm going to do a rose fragrances video eventually. There's a decade series, and I think I do want to start from the early 20th century because I'm just so much more enthusiastic about starting from that end. But I was thinking of doing a decade series. Quiet fragrances, which was inspired by Super Deka and his quiet luxury conversations. Some of the ideas. Top 10 camping frags. Yeah, God, I'll put in the top 10. It works for the algorithm. I have no shame in that. If it's going to attract people clicking to, you know, my video to watch it, I mean, it's the content that counts, really. You know, making a top 10 video doesn't automatically, you know, it doesn't automatically taint the quality of the content. You know, if it works. I mean, people do not a top 10, and that still has top 10 in it. So just mentioning top 10, I mean, my most watched videos, a couple of them are top 10s. They just work. So. And Tripler says that you'd like to see a breakdown. See me break down vintage green fragrances with slight variations. It'd be great to hear your take on the landscape. I see what you did there. Yeah, that would be a cool idea. I could try to do that maybe sometime before the spring ends while it's still kind of... See, I always think in terms of like season, and I tend to forget that like I'm in the northern hemisphere, so it really doesn't matter for half the world anyways. But I'll put down that idea. The green landscape, I can call the idea. And I'll give you credit. I'm going to put your handle next to that. And also, Death and Perfumer, I'm going to put Philippe next to that. So I can remember who gave me these ideas. Because that's what it's really all about. Like, I want to give credit where it's due. You know, I don't want to just make the video and pretend that was like, oh, I thought of this all by myself. No, it's the viewers, all of you, like viewers, you know, people who help me out in putting together ideas and concepts and stuff. So shout outs are important. So I got your names here. The aroma chemicals one, I want to make sure that GMG is next to that one. There we go. Terry Smiles, how's it going? We're into our third hour here. I think I'm going to stay on until about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just chill out. No rush to go anywhere. It's a relaxing night. So thanks, guys, for the suggestions. We're very close to our coffee goal as well, which is excellent. I actually miscounted. So we have 6 coffees purchased. We just need 4 more coffees. And then we reached our goal for 10 for the night. Right on, man. Right on. And Tripler asks, have I tried Brownstone? Isn't that, is that Paul, what is it? Is it Paul Sebastian? Is that the name? Or am I like confusing the name with something else? I was shocked when I got my nose on it recently when how much it inspired things like Miel de Bois and L'Envol. Really? Wow. Now, is that kind of a tough one? Is that a tough one to get? Tripler, I feel like when I've seen that being sold online, it's pretty pricey and scarce. Great, another idea. Thanks. Different ways of applying, okay. Perfume applications. So I have a full-time job that's very demanding, but very rewarding. I'm not going to give you like excessive details because I don't want to get doxxed. But I'm in a management position, so I work, full time in a management position. And if circumstances were different, and I didn't have as little downtime, I really wish that I could do a lot more content more frequently, and I could do all these videos. But I hope I can get all of these in, during the year, because that would be excellent. I also am in a relationship too, and I like to, spend quality time with my partner. That's important to me. And I like to be outside, enjoying the real world and nature. A big nature nut. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you may have picked up on that already. So I like to carve out a lot of time for that too. So, all right, perfume application, and I will credit Philippe. All right. And we got that. Terry Smiles, thank you so much for the super sticker. That was very kind of you. Wow. And that's quite a testimonial. Why don't I do this? We'll see how things are in the marketplace. Currently visiting eBay, but this isn't my only option. I also take a look at Mercari, Etsy. Sometimes people who sell on base notes might have something. And I often visit antique malls, estate sales. It's surprising where I find good stuff. And I'm going to bring up brownstone. I'm going to do a search for brownstone and see what the price is in the marketplace. Currently doing a search for brownstone. Ooh, holy moly. A Cologne Splash of Brownstone by Paul Sebastian, 2.0 fluid ounces, ranging, well, those are $209. We have 4 fluid ounces, $148.79. The aftershave is actually the 4 fluid ounce. That's pretty pricey. And it looks like there's no atomizer version currently for sale. I'm going to take a guess that these brownstones are sold by a popular seller, or one that I've purchased things from often. And I am correct. RG Selling Assistant, hailing from Connecticut. He has lots of my money. Hey, Fernando. I don't, as a matter of fact. Editions, wow. Editions rare, Histoire de Parfum. Remind me what that's all about. I vaguely recall reading about it, or I don't know much about it. Oh, yes, the music. So it is Carl. Oh, God. Give me a second. So it's in the description. Carl Weingarten and Walter Whitney. And the album is Dreaming in Colors. And it's from 1985. So I've been playing selections from that album. Yeah, I'm curious about that one too. I was reading about the petroleum one. Yeah, these are things I definitely wouldn't mind having samples of. GMG asks, do I think Santa Maria Novella Po d'Espagna is aptly named even though it lists birch as a main note? Isn't it more of a hybrid? I think it's aptly named. Yeah, because it's kind of like you would think with the birch tar, it would be more like a Russian leather. I think that's what you're getting at. Phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal. Current formulation, too. It's wonderful. Lovely, delightful. Po d'Espagna is. Yeah, I guess you could say it's sort of like a hybrid between like a Russian style leather and a Spanish leather, kind of like a saddle soap kind of leather too. Yes, I agree with Dushan. It's an amazing leather. Terry smiles. I want your channel to succeed, JJ. So if everybody could just give at least $5, this channel will grow. I guess it'll grow. I'm investing the money. I am putting effort in, and you know, this is the principle as well. And a lot of people argue this. A lot of people who do content creation, you know, it's like a job. You know, it's not easy to dedicate the amount of time and energy and research. And that just shows support. It's viewer support. You know, I think people have these very myopic views of what it means to send money to somebody and to support somebody, and I think they kind of lose sight of you know, the real purpose. But it's growing. The channel is growing, and I feel honored to get the kind of attention for a relatively small channel. You know, about 1120 or something. It can. I mean, it's a job that I enjoy. But it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort to keep pumping out content and making sure that the content is worthwhile, worth people's time, that feels informative and entertaining and insightful. You know, the best part of it though is moving my effluvium format from the Instagram lives to the YouTube channel, and to have this panel discussion with people from all different angles of the community, including perfumers and people in the industry, and writers, authors, critics, reviewers. And it just continues to grow, and I continue to gain more connections and get to know people and have meaningful connections with people in this microcosm. That has been the most fulfilling part of it, of them all. Yeah, I'm not concerned. I'm not so concerned about like I don't need to have like 10,000 subscribers, and you know, I'm just happy, you know, that I have any kind of following at all. As somebody logs off, went from 21 to 20 viewers. But I'll stick around until 9. I will. A lot of the people who I see in the chat right now are the people who really mean a great deal to me and have been there with me since, a lot of you have been there with me since the beginning and have been encouraging. And it's just humbling to get your continued support. Four more coffees and we'll reach our goal for the evening. Just 4 more. buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Cole P. If anybody has any other ideas for videos, is there anybody who would want to be a panelist? Let me know. Pucci, Senor Vivara. It smells glorious in here with all of the, it's like a mille fleurs of all 10 samples, the Sinclair samples and the For Centivet samples. Oh, you don't have to buy the coffees. The coffees are different. We still had like a coffee goal, but you don't. Yeah, you're exempt from it. You've given your contribution, so don't worry about it. It's separate. It's if you do the buymeacoffee.com. We had a separate goal for that for coffees. But if you're suggesting that will equate to the 4 coffees, then how about this? We'll just make that the goal being met. Because it's 8:38 right now. Things are kind of slowing down a little bit. Put on a little bit of different music here. We're going to do a little bit of an intermission here. And let's bring in the intermission. Hey, Jerry, I really do miss Ryan as well. He had to take a hiatus. Maybe we will see him again on a future live stream. I'll try to twist his arm to come back for the finale of the Effluvium season at the end of May. So in conclusion, I think that for the scent of it and St. Clair scents are phenomenal. I'm looking forward to exploring them more and sampling more, getting better acquainted with them. Azure, the verdict. Get the new version. It's still great. It's a little bit more of a summery version. A little bit lighter, but that doesn't mean unsubstantial. It's still a great wear. And if you're gonna get a vintage bottle, be patient. Don't break down and spend $300 on it. Just keep on a lookout. Do a save search for eBay or Mercari or whatever kind of place you buy things, and wait until it comes up for a price that isn't so outrageous. And Cristal, we don't know if it's being discontinued, but I ended up buying a bottle of it anyways. The newer versions, I do recommend, because I've heard more than once that the bottles don't keep very well. Yeah, that's true. That's true. He actually did do a new video, so he is back on the scene. He's coming back. As far as the live stream scene, though, we have yet to figure that out, but of course we will keep you all posted. That would be unprecedented. Yeah, if they were to completely discontinue Cristal, EDT, EDP, Auvert. I mean, certainly the EDT, the original. I've been thinking about... I want to spend a little bit more time with the modern Bois d'Azil EDP. My first impression is I found it very beautiful, but too discreet for what I was hoping. But now I almost feel like I need to give it a few more chances, because maybe the very discreetness of it is part of its beauty. Maybe I'm just like not really all that knowledgeable with what Bois d'Azil has been throughout the years since its inception. Does anybody out there have any opinions on Chanel Bois d'Azil? I'd love to hear them. The parfum. So the Bois d'Azil parfum. That's the one. I'll make a note of that. A video just about Serge Lutens. Ooh, great suggestion. So a Serge Lutens profile. Suggestion by Michi, Jean-Claude sent. I wouldn't mind the 4 remaining coffees. It would be still cool to get 10 coffees. 10 coffee. I'm kind of wondering if some troll is going to get on my case for begging for money. Some troll, or Oda Jerks type troll. These have been excellent suggestions, though. So far, the suggestions that we got: aroma chemicals, courtesy of GMG; death in perfumery, discontinuation, death of brand, perfumer, niche and indie brands from Philippe; topics of maceration and aging. Why do I have Philippe under that? I feel like, was that Philippe, the maceration one? I want to make sure I give the correct credit. Somebody who thought of the maceration idea, trying to look for... Ooh, hold on. Yeah, Philippe had application. I do have. Maybe Philippe did have. Oh, Pat Lester, thanks. Well, thank you for the suggestion, but I didn't have your name next to it, and I want to make sure I have your credit on that one. Pat Lester, suggestions on topics of maceration and aging. Green Landscape, Tripler, Perfume Application, Attar, Solid Perfume, Philippe Alex, and Michi suggested a Serge Luton's Profile. So next week, I have not filled a guest for the effluvium because I left the date open for someone, but I haven't been able to get a verification of that. And now I want to kind of scramble and get somebody else in. So we'll see if we can get somebody good in on the panel. A couple good people. And short notice. Thanks, Pat. just saw your comment now while I was scrolling back to try to figure it out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I only heard and saw a little bit of it. I mean, there's some sort of, from what little I know, there was some disagreement as to whether or not what he was doing was appropriate or was just sort of like a cultural thing that people in the West were not familiar with or used to. But that's as little as I know about it. I'm not really all that informed. To be honest, and maybe this isn't the best thing, but I don't consume very much news content. I already deal with existential anxiety, so. But yeah, I mean, I can see where people would be a little taken aback by sucking a child's tongue. But if that is something that is customary in Tibet, I mean, it's cultural relativism, Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, dementia. Yeah, dementia is a terrifying thing, too. So if I don't get a response for the individual regarding next Tuesday's effluvium, who would you like to see? Past guests, past panelists. Favorite spring vegetables? Thanks for keeping things afloat here, Tripler. I'm going to be signing off pretty soon. I was planning on signing off at 9, but yeah. Favorite spring vegetables? Wait, what vegetables are known to grow in the springtime? I'm not really well versed on what vegetables grow in the spring. I know of plenty that grow in autumn, in the summertime, But spring vegetables, like I think maybe spring greens. Would that be kind of like arugula, like salad greens? Because they call a lot of them spring greens. Like, you were single-handedly supporting the chat right now. I am actually talking to Brooke of Saint Soleil. Maybe she could be a last-minute replacement. She's outstanding. So maybe we can get her in on Tuesday. I'll have a discussion with her. Peas, asparagus, rhubarb, celery. Is celery a spring vegetable? I like celery. Does anybody like celery in fragrance? Like celery or celery seed? People sometimes say that they detect celery in on Yatagan, and I can kind of see that. There's Gland de Plaisir, which was my very first video for my channel, a review of Gland de Plaisir from Méta Parfumeur Gantier, which has a prominent celery note. And it is flanked by citrus and lemon and vetiver. Pretty difficult to get a handle of. But it's stunning. Favas. With favas and a nice Chianti. Fava beans and a nice Chianti. Well, I already played that one. Play a couple more here. This is Enno Volthuis, a Belgian synth new age artist from the early 80s. He only released his albums on cassette. I don't think they've actually ever been reissued. I'll put the name in the chat. Enno Volthuis. I think that's how you pronounce last name. So tomorrow I will be releasing the 4th in the Spring Floral series, Lily of the Valley, in parentheses, Muguet fragrances. That's the 4th. The first was Narcissus / Jonquil. The second was Hyacinth. Third was Violet. And tomorrow will be Lily of the Valley. Chris Rusak. I will note that. Thank you very much, Jerry. And GMG, an asparagus undertone. I can see that too. The asparagus itself, not the pea that follows. I would hope that I wouldn't smell anything like the pea. I'm sure there's some fragrance out there that does, though. But the kind of things that I've detected in fragrance, I've detected vomit, baby diarrhea, menstruation, some pretty nasty things that nasty, poorly conceived ideas in fragrance where there's just some dissonance and something is not pulled off very well. And I think that's a great way to close the live stream. Asparagus is a fern that smells nothing like a fougere. Well, asparagus, there's an asparagus fern. Asparagus, the vegetable, though, is not a fern. It's not a spermatophore. Is that what they call them? They're not a spore-bearing plant. They're a seed-bearing plant, but there is the asparagus fern. And it also, people don't think that there's ferns that actually have a smell, and they think it's just a fantasy note, which is also untrue. There are actually a number of species of ferns that do have an aroma to them that can range anywhere between cinnamon to vanilla to tobacco to tonka, which is probably what inspired the fougere in the 19th century. Also, I have these lovely tulips here. And some are starting to reach, starting to pass their prime, but these yellow ones in particular, they have this gorgeous smell. It's kind of like a waxy green, it kind of reminds me of like the rind of certain fruits, and a little bit of like magnolia and even carnation. It's wild. Some tulip varieties do in fact have a scent. Look at this poor one over here. A little worse for the wear. But yeah, there's certain tulip varieties that are known for their fragrance, and you learn something new. So people are onto something when they feature tulip as a note. It's not just a fantasy. There are some that are scented. So we have 17 people tuned in. We're really starting to wind things down. So I'm going to close out for the evening. Thank you so much for joining me in the first impressions of For the Scent of It and St. Clair Scents. I was really pleasantly surprised at how impressive and enjoyable both of their fragrances are. And I'm glad I could share the experience with you. We're going to have Diane St. Clair joining us for Effluvium on May 23rd. And if you wanted to watch the archive where Michael Schrammel joined us, that was on March 21st. That's archived. For the Scent of It with Anjali Perfumes, Rachel and I are the panelists on that one as well. So check that out in the Effluvium archives. And Jo would like to still see Fragrance Matt. We'll see if we can make that happen. And I'll have a discussion with him, and we'll see if we can get him in for a future date. So I think the time has now come for me to sign off. I wish you and yours a wonderful evening / morning / afternoon, depending upon where you are in the globe. And be well. Take care.